studying trigonometry, we'll be dealing with the different relationship of values of the angles and the sides of a given triangle. So in this presentation, let us consider this triangle. Let us name this right triangle A, B, and C with a given angle or in a given angle A, meaning to say angle A here is an acute angle. Okay, so in this topic, it would be different, or the naming of the sides would be different from that of the previous video. Here, we're going to name the hypotenuse. As we all know, the hypotenuse is the longest side of a right triangle, and we will name that as H. And then, all other legs or all other sides would be named prior to the given angle that we have here. So that will be prior to angle A. So meaning to say, side BC here would be what we so-called the opposite side. Meaning to say, this is the side opposite to the given angle A. And side AC would be named as what we so-called adjacent side, meaning to say it is adjacent to the given angle A. Alright? Now, let us consider angle A and let us assume values for theta. Let's say, for example, the value of our angle would be 53.13 degrees. Alright, as a review, let us convert that into degrees, minutes, and seconds. Okay, so 53.13 degrees would be equivalent to, alright, that would be 53 degrees, 7 minutes, and 48 seconds. Now, in dealing with trigonometric functions of acute angles, we are just going to take the different ratios of the sides of this right triangle. Alright, so we will be doing, or we will take all the possible ratios that we can take on that right triangle. So let's say, for example, we have there the opposite side over, since it's ratio, that's going to be a fraction, that would be opposite side over the hypotenuse. That will be the first one. And then the second one would be adjacent, or the adjacent side. The adjacent side over the hypotenuse, and the last ratio would be opposite, or the opposite side over the adjacent. Okay? So may magtatanong dyan, sir, pwede po ba natin gawing given yung angle B instead of A? Yes, of course. But then, yung magiging naming natin ng sides would be a little different. So, hindi na ito ang magiging opposite if given natin si angle B. Ang magiging opposite na natin, if si angle B yung ating magiging angle or given angle, ang magiging opposite side natin would be side AC. And ang magiging adjacent naman would be side BC. So, you have to take into consideration the following concepts. Alright? So, the first three trigonometric functions that we'll be dealing with is the first one, opposite over hypotenuse. And this is what we so-called the sine function. And then, by the way, this will be read as sine, though it is abbreviated as SIN. And then, the second function would be what we so-called cosine, or it is abbreviated with cos. And the last one, or the last with that of the first three functions, trigonometric functions, would be the tangent or tan. Okay? So these three functions is of course prior to our given angle, and that is angle A. So we'll be dealing with sine A, cosine A, and then tangent A. Okay? So sine A, given this ratio, that will be opposite over hypotenuse. So let us what do you call that? Let us assume values for our sides, or the values of the side. Let's say, for example, our hypotenuse will be equivalent to 10. And, or yes, hypotenuse will be equivalent to 10. And then our adjacent side would be equivalent to 8. Or adjacent will be equivalent to 8. Now, opposite side would be obtained. let's say for example, the opposite side is missing, applying the Pythagorean theorem that we have discussed last video, that would be using the Pythagorean theorem, that is c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So we'll obtain the value of the opposite side as 6. Okay? So may magtatanong dyan, sir, hindi naman po mukhang 8 si A, hindi naman pong mukhang 8 si O. Okay, sige. Gawin nating mas realistic. Gawin natin si opposite side, si 8, at si adjacent side, si 6. Alright, so I bet wala na magtatanong kung realistic ba yung ating drawing or hindi. Alright, so let us assume that the hypotenuse will be equivalent to 10, and then the opposite side will be equivalent to 8, and then the adjacent side would be equivalent to 6. Alright, so let us name those sides. So dun sa given angle natin, opposite over hypotenuse would be equal to, what is our opposite side? I-name natin si opposite side na ginawa natin kanina. That would be, the opposite side is, okay, very good. That would be the side BC over ang ating hypotenuse is side AB. Okay? Now, kung si BC si opposite, so what would be the value of the opposite side? So, binigay na natin yung value natin kanina. And that is, sabi natin, the value of the opposite side is 8, and then the value of the hypotenuse is 10. Meaning to say, the sine of A would be equivalent to, that would be equivalent to opposite, that would be equivalent to 8 over 10. Okay? Meaning to say, sine A would, the sine of A, the sine of A, or the sine of the value of the theta, which is 53.13 degrees, we can write down here the sine of 53.13 degrees would be equivalent to 8 over 10. And since this is ratio, we can actually simplify it or we can actually reduce this to lowest term, and that will be equivalent to 4 over 5. Okay, so that will be our first trigonometric function. Alright, next, let's proceed to the next ratio. That would be adjacent over hypotenuse. So, pangalanan ulit natin. Pangalanan natin si adjacent over hypotenuse. Ang sabi natin na adjacent is side AC, and our hypotenuse would be side AB. Okay? And that would become the value of AC. The value of AC is, tulad ng sinabi natin kanina, that is equivalent to, AC is the adjacent, so that's gonna be 6. Okay, i-name lang natin to, A over H. Okay, so that will be equivalent to 6 over, okay, para mas organized tayo. So that's gonna be 6 over 10, since adjacent side is equivalent to 6. So meaning to say, cosine of A, or pwede nating ilagay dito, cosine of the theta, we have the cosine of 53.13 degrees is equivalent to 6 over 10. And just like what I have said a while ago, pwede naman natin siyang i-simplify or reduce it to lowest term since it is ratio, and that is equivalent to 3 over 5. Okay? So we may now proceed with the last of the three first trigonometric function, and that is opposite over adjacent. So pangalanan ulit natin. Si opposite side, niname natin siya kanina, that is BC, and then the adjacent side, ay niname natin siya kanina as, or based sa drawing natin, that is AC. Okay? So we have, that's gonna be O over A. Okay, so magtataka kayo kung bakit ginaganito ni Sir, para mamaya pag diniscuss ko na kung paano natin siya mas masasaulo na mabilis, ay okay tayo. So that's gonna be tan, or the tangent of A, or the tangent of 53.13 degrees is equal to what? So ano bang value ng opposite side natin? That is 8. So we have 8 over, that's gonna be 8 over, and the adjacent side is equivalent to 6. Meaning to say, the tangent of A is equal to 8 over 6, or again, Tulad ng sinabi ko kanina, these are ratios, so we can reduce this to lowest term. That is 4 over 3. Okay? Alright. Next. So, sabi natin kanina, hindi lang si A yung pwede natin kunan ng function. Pwede din natin kunan ng function si B. So, ano ang nakikita nating relationship ni A at saka ni B? Since si C is a right triangle, or is a right angle, I mean. Okay? Meaning to say, angle A and angle B are what? Are complementary. Meaning to say, kung ano yung measure nito at kung ano yung measure nito, ang sum nila would be 90 degrees. Okay? That will be 90 degrees. So, kapag ganon, tulad ng sinabi ko kanina, kung ito ang maging given angle natin, si adjacent side would be this one. Okay? At ang maging opposite side niya would be AC. Alright. Now, here in the first three trigonometric function, we can actually derive the three more trigonometric function, and that is actually the reciprocal of these three. Kasi sabihin nyo kanina, sir, possible ratios ang kukunin natin sa right triangle. Possible din naman po si hypotenuse over opposite. And so with hypotenuse over adjacent. And so with adjacent over opposite. Okay, but before that, paano natin mas madaling masasaulo itong trigonometric functions na ito? And that is using a mnemonic device called the SOHCAHTOA. SOHCAHTOA. What does SOHCAHTOA means? Si SOHCAHTOA, ibig sabihin, this pertains to the sine function. Yung ka represents the cosine function, and then TOA represents the tangent function. Alright, S sa so muna tayo. S here means sine. So, ibig sabihin na sine is equal to opposite side, which is O, and H would be the hypotenuse. Alright, so that explains so, meaning to say it's all about the sine function. And then the next, ka, meaning to say C stands for cosine, and then A stands for the adjacent side, and H stands for the hypotenuse. Meaning to say, cosine is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay? So, mas madali natin siya matatandaan using this mnemonic device. And then the last one, or the last part, would be T, or TOA. T stands for the tangent function, and then O stands for the opposite side, and A stands for the adjacent side. So, meaning to say, tangent of an angle is equal to, or tangent of an acute angle is equal to the opposite side over adjacent, which was explained to you a while ago. We have the sine function, the SO. Kung mapapansin nito, this is SOH, that's SO. Then CAH, that's ka. And TOA, that's TOA. So meaning, these three functions, the what we so-called SOHCAHTOA. Okay? So let us now proceed with the three more functions, or the three more trigonometric functions. Okay? And those are just reciprocals of the first three. Okay? So kung i-reciprocal natin siya, the first one would be, okay, copy lang natin to. The first one would be hypotenuse over opposite. Okay? So, that's gonna be, the next function would be the cosecant. Okay? So, meaning, kapag kinuha natin si cosecant A, or the cosecant of an angle, ibig sabihin, i-reciprocate lang natin kung ano ang meron tayo kay sine. So, that's gonna be sine A, or that's gonna be cosecant A would be equal to 1 over sine. So, kung pagbabasihan natin yung ginawa natin kanina, sine A is equal to 4 over 5. Sabi natin kanina, sine A is equal to 4 over 5. Meaning to say, ang ating magiging cosecant A would be equal to, sabi natin, ang hypotenuse natin kanina is 10. Tama po? Okay. Hypotenuse natin kanina ay 10. Oops, sorry. Okay, 10 over, ang opposite side natin kanina would be 8. And kapag sinimplify natin siya, that is actually equivalent to 5 over 4, which is the reciprocal of the sine function. Okay, so that is the fourth trigonometric function, that is the cosecant function. Or the cosecant A, or we can say that the cosecant of 53.13 degrees is equal to 5 over 4. Okay? Next, let us proceed with the next function. So, tapos na tayo kay opposite over hypotenuse, na reciprocate na natin siya. Let us proceed with adjacent over hypotenuse. Meaning to say, ang ating magiging next function would be hypotenuse over adjacent side. Okay? And that is the what we so-called the second function. Okay? Since hinahanap natin si A, or ang given natin ay angle A, so we have the secant of A. Okay? So, since reciprocal lang naman si secant, ni cosecant, or ni cosine, sorry. So, ibig sabihin, ang maging ano natin would be 10 over 6. Since we all know that the value of the hypotenuse is 10, and then the adjacent side is 6. And if we're going to simplify or reduce this to lowest term, that is equivalent to 5 over 3. Okay? Meaning to say, secant A is equal to 5 over 3, which is the reciprocal of the cosine function. Okay? Next is we have the last, which is this one. Opposite over adjacent. So we are to reciprocate it. We have adjacent over opposite. Over opposite. And that function is the what we so-called the cotangent function. Or cot. Okay? So, kapag sinabi natin cotangent of A, that means we have adjacent side over the opposite side. And that will be equivalent to, ang sabi natin kanina, the adjacent side is equivalent to 6. And then the opposite side is equivalent to 8. And that would be, if we're gonna reduce this to lowest term, that is 3 over 4. So that's it. Those are the 6 basic trigonometric functions that we have on an acute angle. Okay, so the first one, the sine function. Next is the cosine. Next would be the tangent. Next is the cosecant. Second to the last is secant function. And the last would be the cotangent function, wherein the first 3 can be remembered as the SOHCAHTOA. So, SO means sine equals opposite over hypotenuse. Ka, which means cosine equals adjacent over hypotenuse. And TOA, which means tangent equals, or tangent of an angle is equal to opposite over adjacent. And then the three more trigonometric functions is obtained by reciprocating the first 3 functions.